right here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2024 Instagram study presentation. For those of you who haven't met Alex or I, we are the marketing managers of our US team and excited to present all of the data to you today.
Yes, and if you are just popping on, we're going to give you like a few seconds so that people can join in. So drop where you are located, and also if you have any questions or are super excited to see something in specific.
And if you're watching live, we may actually be on an airplane headed to Spain. Our team has an annual retreat in Spain, so this is a pre-recorded live, but we will be in the chat answering questions live. So make sure to drop any questions you have, and we'll make sure to get those answered.
Yes.
So let's dive into the presentation. So this study was conducted over 6 months. And every year we have an annual study wondering how the platform has evolved and how brands, creators, and social media managers are using Instagram specifically for this case. So let's dive into the data set. For this study, we analyzed almost 400,000 professional Instagram accounts, so both business and creator. And then we have a breakdown of all of the content we analyzed. So for feed posts, we analyzed over 3 million images, over 1 million carousels. And then we have a distinction for the two types of reels. So for the first, the reels from feed, this is reels that are posted exclusively in the main feed. And then the reels you see, which we analyzed over 3 million, those are reels in the reels feed. So this may seem confusing, but we'll give an example. And then you can see that stories, we analyzed over 23 million. So we'll also let you know why this count was so high.
Mm-hmm.
So first, let's compare over the year. So we had a 2023 Instagram study last year published, and each year that we conduct these studies, we want to compare the data to see how Instagram, in this case, has evolved over the year. So from last year's data compared to this year's, we found that there was a general reach decline across all format types. So if you have been wondering why reach has declined or been frustrated with the platform, don't worry, because this is happening to a lot of users.
It's not just you. It's very consistently happening.
Yeah. And then engagement rates maintain more or less. Reels saw a slight increase, and then carousels actually produced the highest engagement rate, even though they had a small decline over the year.
And we'll get into the details of why this is happening more as we're in the presentation.
Yeah. So here's the first breakdown. So this is reach by content type from 2023 to 2024. So you can see that across the board, reach has declined pretty significantly. So, even reels that produce higher reach have seen a decline from 15K to 11K on average. So over the year, this is a big difference. And part of this could be due to the competitive nature of Instagram and some of the algorithmic changes that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we have been seeing so many changes just within like the last month on Instagram. So it does make sense that we are seeing such a decline in reach.
And then engagement, on the other hand, so as we mentioned, this is maintained more or less. Reels have seen an increase, on both feeds, and then images and carousels have seen a slight decrease, but for the most part, nothing too significant.
Yeah. It's actually a good sign because even though, we are seeing all this competition, it does show that, brands and creators, they are taking the time to maintain engagement with their audience, which is one of the most important aspects of social media.
Yeah. So now let's look at what's happened on Instagram in 2024. So, kind of some overall findings. When looking at the data set, stories are the most used format. So, this comprised 71.9% of our data set, which is a
Crazy.
huge amount of content. As we said, this is 23 million posts. So, this shows that brands post stories more than any other format. And then in second place, surprisingly, is single images. So this makes up just over 11% of the data set.
I do think that that is pretty surprising for single images. I would have thought that carousels would have been second, but it is easier to sometimes share single images, and because it's like easier on the scroll as well, I guess that would make sense why they would come in second after stories.
Yeah. And if we think about, being consistent on Instagram, single images can really accomplish that, as you can use single images multiple times, whereas carousels kind of, as we say, like dump. You can dump a lot of your content in one thing. So for those brands who are trying to spread out content and just post one image, it makes sense that they want to use that instead of carousels.
Yeah.
Okay, and then talking about reach. So if you're looking to reach new users, Reels are the way to go. It is, produces significantly more reach than other format types. But then carousels still produce significant reach, but not as much as.
So if you aren't posting reels, you should be, because they can help you with your reach.
Mhm. And then if we're talking about engagement, so while Reels produce the most reach, carousels drive engagement. So one of the reasons this is swiping through images alone counts as engagement. So if people are, just swiping through and looking at your pictures, this is going to increase that engagement. Okay, so one of the biggest questions we get every year is, what is the best time and day to post on Instagram, on TikTok, any platform? So with this, we always see when the most users are connected. So this is a big chart for, days, times, and you can see that the time when most connected users are is at 8 p.m. So this is a universal time, and it's provided from Meta's API. So 8 p.m., that window from 7 to 9 p.m. is kind of the sweet spot for posting.
Yeah. And if you have been with us for the whole year, you would actually remember that 8 p.m. was still the best time to post last year, too. So this is something that has not changed.
Yeah. And one of the things that we, found with this is, if you think about it, it's actually a pretty common time to look on your phone, to scroll. It's that time when you're off work, maybe when you're finished cooking and eating, and you kind of have this downtime to catch up on socials. And really, it's the time when, most people are connected and engaging.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it makes sense that because people, of course, they're scrolling on their phones during the day, but after that, that school time, that work time is really when you can scroll, I think, with like more intention, or you can even do the mindless scroll and just spend more time there. So it would make sense that those evening hours are the more popular times.
Mhm. Okay, and then the best day to post. So Wednesday is also kind of that sweet spot day. So it's the middle of the week. People are kind of off the craziness of Monday and Tuesday and gearing up for the weekend. And Wednesday is one of the best days to post, with Friday in second.
Yeah. And if you remember from last year, this one has changed. So while the time has stayed the same, the days have changed, because previously it was Tuesday, Thursdays, and now it's Wednesday, Fridays.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is. Because I would say that like Tuesday, Thursdays are kind of like your midweek like I feel like a lot of people have a lot of energy. Things are happening on Tuesday, Thursday, and I feel like Wednesday, Friday are more of those lax days. So it's kind of funny how it flip flopped.
Yeah. And weekends, as we see, are always kind of not the best days to post, especially in a professional space.
Mhm.
You know, that's when people are checked out, they want to get off their phones more. So hitting, users during the week is definitely recommended.
Yeah, sometimes people don't necessarily want to see work related things or just anything in their specific like day-to-day schedule. They may not necessarily want to see that on the weekend. So that's just also something to keep in mind. Like specifically even for us, we tend to keep like lighter content on Fridays because we know people are kind of getting ready for the weekend. They're checking out a little bit, and sometimes we don't even post on Saturdays or Sundays. So something good to keep in mind when you're thinking about what type of content people want to consume on during the weekdays versus like the end of the week on the weekends.
Mhm. This is a good note for planning content as well because you can think about it as okay, people are going to be really locked into work Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be a great day to maybe publish that hard hitting post, the one that you've been working on for a while that is has the most kind of pop, and then the rest of the week you can teeter it out with some lighter content and things to keep your users engaged, but maybe not as heavily work related,
Yes.
or I guess brand promotionally
Yeah.
related,
Yeah.
depending on your field.
Yes.
So now let's look into some key findings. So as we said, stories are the most used format, and we were really curious as why brands favored stories. So we found that the fear of missing out, FOMO, is real. So people want to stay up to date with their favorite creators, their favorite brands, and brands can really foster foster loyalty, as the second point says, but they can foster their audiences by making them really engaged of what's going on with their brand. So kind of engage using this fear of missing out tactic to keep users engaged.
Yeah, and nurturing their audiences because I mean it's common knowledge now that stories aren't necessarily going to be what brings in new followers and new faces. Stories are definitely catered towards your current audience. So you want them to want to know what you're posting about, and you want them, to like engage, ask questions, feel that they can relate to you, your brand on some level. So this is where you should be creating those connections and really nurturing that following so that they continue to follow you, they continue to engage with that content.
Mhm. And whereas they can be, pre-planned and scheduled and added into your content calendar, they allow for a little bit more spontaneity. So, we know that you can easily go in and kind of add in stickers or add in emojis or adding GIFs through the network. And so this is a way for social media managers or brands to kind of add in more of that creativeness to their content.
Yes, absolutely. And just a little tip, we like at Metrical, we like to do a combination of both. So if it's something that doesn't necessarily need a lot to it, it's very easy to pre-schedule it out. But if it's something that maybe one of us wants to hop on and do a video, or we want to link to something, or like Aniston said, add stickers, add a poll, that it gives us that flexibility to not only do things in real time, but also plan ahead. And it gives a nice balance.
And then one of the biggest, benefits for brands to use stories is the possibility to add links to generate traffic or to generate traffic to a shop or your website. Adding links to stories has really made social selling and event sign up and all of these things possible. So stories are a great use for that. They're an easy way for followers to stay updated, and if you're promoting something, to easily hit them.
Yeah, they're endless ways to generate traffic. And now that Instagram has made it accessible for everyone to put links in their stories without having to have a certain follower count, it really is a feature you should be using. I mean, even if you don't necessarily need to sell anything in particular, let's say, you have a blog and you want to drive traffic to that blog, or even if you're just trying to nurture your audience and you found something cool that you want them to see, you could link to that. So there are so many different creative ways you could use that to your advantage.
Mhm. Okay, and then as we said, reels generate the highest reach. So if you're looking to, if one of your goals is to reach new users and really expand your brand visibility, reels are the way to go. And from, Instagram algorithm changes, we also saw that smaller accounts are now being rewarded. So if you're looking to really grow your account, reels are also a great way to do this.
Yes, especially if you are a smaller account. This doesn't disregard all the bigger accounts, of course. Like you should still be, publishing reels. You should be publishing a wide variety of content formats. But like we had said before, with reach, reels are really what's going to take you there because you do have both of those options, right? To your main feed and to just the reels feed. So you can, do some testing, see what works for your account, whether even if it's just posting to the reels feed or if you want your following to see it, it is worth a shot, especially to bring in those new eyes.
Mm-hmm. And noting here, so, the average reach distribution was over 37% for reels, but carousels still have over 26%. So a combination, I mean, as Alex said, you should vary your content distribution, but carousels are also a great way to reach new users and drive engagement.
Absolutely.
So now let's look at engagement. So we brought this up that carousels drive engagement. So why are they so successful? One of these keys is storytelling. So one of the, storytelling should always be kind of at the forefront of your content. It's how people are going to be engaged. It's how content is going to get shared. And it's attractive for brands to be able to, present their products or their services in multiple images or videos. Users can, simply scroll through it and kind of see a larger picture in one post.
Yes. And I mean, with storytelling too, like a carousel really does give you the opportunity to start from A and go all the way to Z, especially given now that you can have more you can have more slides, you can now have up to 20. So if you want to put in a bunch of information and tell that story, you have even more opportunity to do so now. Also, Instagram tends to reward people who use their features. So even if you don't necessarily love the 20 slide carousel, like we would encourage you to try maybe posting a little bit more than 10 and seeing how that works out for your account. And like Aniston was saying, it is attractive for brands because you can put as much information or as little information as you want in these carousels in one singular post. So if it's maybe a post that you want your audience to save, all of that information is there for them nicely, able to be able to be referenced to back. So
Mhm.
it's great in that sense. And then stimulating for users because I mean, everyone likes a good carousel. Everyone likes a good photo dump. So, swiping through to just see what the brand is doing, the creator is doing.
Yeah. And then this last point is offering an element of surprise because you never know what's going to be in the next slide. So that really encourages users to go to the end of the carousel and see kind of the whole picture.
Mhm.
So now let's look at some best practices. These are some examples, but we will have more in the actual study. But this just is giving you some, insights into what's working on the platform and what strategies you can implement into your marketing strategy. So the first one is choosing thumbnails that pop on the feed. So this is just a funny picture from Crumble Cookies, but they were playing on Beetlejuice's new movie coming out and using this on one of their cookies. I think it was just creative. And obviously, that bright green, we're so used to it with Brat all around. But it really pops and it makes you want to look at it.
That would
Um,
definitely catch my eye in a scroll.
yeah. And then the second one is, so, we've distinguished the two types of reels. So reels in your main feed and then reels on the reels feed. So we recommend publishing to both, which you can do this, when you're editing your post. You can see right there, you can toggle it on to show in the reels grid and then also in the main grid. And this will just amplify, that visibility. So not only will you be seen amongst your followers, but you have the availability to be featured on the Explore page, which will just, expand your brand visibility. And this is just a fun little reel that I saw of dogs, which
Who doesn't love
everyone loves a little dog video.
Yes, and we know that there are mixed opinions about whether or not you want to share just to your Reels feed or to your main feed. And of course, look at your analytics, see what works best for you. But if you really do want to maximize the opportunity for that content to be seen, we do think it is beneficial to post to both.
And then the third tip is to keep up with algorithm changes and trends. So, as we've mentioned, there have been numerous changes and additions to the platform. So, we recommend following the creators account and then also Adam Mosseri, who is Instagram CEO. They're constantly, posting trend reports and new algorithm changes and tips to really stand out on the platform.
Yeah. And even just like we mentioned earlier, this past month alone, there have been so many changes to Instagram. I mean, they just added music to the bio. We have the 20 slide carousels. You can now make photo collages. And I'm sure that they have more prepped for the rest of the year. So it is just nice to kind of be in the know and see what is happening so that you can get on to using those features. Because, like I said, Instagram really does love when you're utilizing all of their different options.
Mm-hmm. And then the fourth tip, which we've mentioned when we were discussing stories, but really take advantage of interactive stickers. So you can link your shop, link your product pages, you can link your website, your blog, anything that you want to link and drive traffic to. Stories are a great way to do this in a way that you can also tell a story. And, for example, in this one, kind of show off what you're presenting.
And on top of that, there are so many other different types of stickers you can use as well. I mean, there's polls, like say you want to poll your audience and maybe see what kind of content they want to see or what they like better. You can ask them for feedback with like a questions box. There's even that little Polaroid that you have to like shake the phone or tap to reveal. There's so many stickers. So if you aren't someone who loves to use them, I recommend just going in there and seeing all the options you have. You can add music, which is just always like a fun element when you're scrolling through stories, to just like have like a popular song or a song that you like be on the story.
Mm-hmm. And then last, this is a post from Iona Mayer, who I think it's just brilliant, but unhinged marketing is working. So unhinged marketing is, the Duolingos of the world that are really taking their brand to the next level. They're humanizing it in a way that's funny. They're bringing, their mascot or their logo to life, and it really engages audiences in a way that we've never seen done before. As Instagram is, highly dominated by Gen Z audiences, this is really something that's going to captivate them.
Absolutely. And kind of going off of the whole Gen Z audience, it really does work for Gen Z, but it's also just humorous. It's lighthearted content a lot of the times, which sometimes when when you're looking at your content split, if you're, providing value, education, sometimes it is fun to just throw in that lighthearted content. And I'm a firm believer that I think that you can make any trend work for your niche. You just have to get creative. So I think that that's something important to keep in mind as well.
Mhm. Yeah, this doesn't mean that your whole Instagram marketing strategy needs to be unhinged and based off of memes and trends, because we know that this isn't the base of a strategy, but adding in these elements of kind of, connecting to audiences with humor and relatability and things that take us out of this professional world is a way that can foster your audience beyond your brand.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's always two questions you can ask yourself. First is like if you see a trend or you see something popular, you can ask yourself first, can I make this work for me? Like, does it make sense for my brand, my tone of voice? If you can say yes, then you can go to step two, which is how can I get creative and apply it to my brand or my niche?
Mm-hmm.
But at the forefront, like Aniston said, like a strategy, you need to have strategy even behind those fun posts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that wraps up all of the, data, the brief data of our Instagram study. We highly recommend you downloading the full Instagram study on our website. And also, we recommend you enroll in Metrocool's InstaSchool. So this is a free self-paced 3-week Instagram marketing course. It's suitable for all levels. So no matter if you're a recent grad or wanting to change your role or switch it up, or just wanting to kind of understand how Instagram is working today, then we highly recommend giving it a try. There's really nothing. No, there's no catch. It's free. It's self-paced. It's on your own terms. So yeah, check it out.
You can do it from anywhere. And it's also it's a collaborative course in the sense of if you have questions, you can always reply to the weekly email and like a real person from our team will respond and give you feedback or, clarify anything that maybe didn't make sense. We did something similar to this with our social summer school program that just ended, and it was like highly well received. So we do want to continue to be able to provide that feedback in real time or as you are working your way through the course. So please sign up. It should be a good 3 weeks, and you can even use the study and use it hand in hand to learn more about Instagram, and like I said, prep for the end of the year and prep for 2025 because it is coming quicker than we know it.
So go ahead and scan that QR code. We'll give you a few seconds to do that. And then we'll jump into the last part of this presentation. Just a reminder, feel free to leave any comments. If you're wondering why we're not answering you in live time, again, this is pre-recorded, but we will be answering those in the chat on the time of the presentation.
Yes. One of us will be on answering questions. And even if we don't get to it in the live, feel like if you're watching it on the replay, because this will be available for replay, you can go ahead and leave questions and we will get to those as well.
Okay, so the last little resource we want to share with you is a code to try any Metrocool Premium plan 30 days for free. So you can use code IG24 and sign up for any of our premium plans. We highly recommend doing this. Even if you aren't familiar with our platform, this unlocks a lot of amazing features like reporting. You can check on competitors of Instagram and X and Facebook. You can dive into more analytics on X. There's so many things, but make sure to try this code. And I think that's all we have for you guys today.
Thank you so much for joining. And again, please leave your questions and definitely check out the study. We did a new format for it this time around, and we're really excited about it, especially with the best practices section. That is completely new, something that we have never done. So if you want more in-depth real life examples, that should be really helpful for your strategy.
Again, leave your comments, questions, and we'll make sure to answer it.